Hello and welcome back to the White Pube podcast. I'm ZM and it is Sunday the 11th of January 2026. If you don't know, oh my god, Happy New Year. That's what I mean. I keep forgetting to say Happy New Year, but I do mean obviously Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I hope you had a nice Christmas break. If you don't know, the White Pube is a website that I share with my friend and collaborator Gabrielle de la Puente. Gab's in Liverpool, I'm in London. Between these two cities, we take turns to write about art, exhibitions, films, books, telly, music, culture at large, whatever takes our fancy on any given Sunday. We put the text versions of those texts on thewhitepube.com or .co.uk if you prefer to read them with your eyes. But if you prefer to read them with your ears, which you clearly do, then this podcast feed is where we put the audio versions of those texts. I'm hugely rusty. I haven't done this in a while, have I? Had a month off. So bear with. I'm going to tell you what this text is about and then I'm going to read it and then you're going to stick around for the emoji at the end. This text is about not an exhibition. It is not even about a contemporary piece of artwork, but it is about an artwork in a domestic setting. This text is called The Eyesore and I'm going to read it now. 3 boats tossed around on treacherous waves. Fishermen hunker down on the boats in neat little rows. A wave rises, towering above them. It is really, really blue and streaked white. The edges of the wave splinter and curl. In the hollow of the wave, the tip of a mountain rises up from the horizon. The sky is tea-stained with low white clouds. The wave is outlined, like a pen has carved out its crisp shape. The wave casts no shadow. I've just moved in with my boyfriend into a flat that he bought a percentage of. We share the rent on the rest. We can do whatever we want to the walls as long as the walls remain where the housing association put them. We polyfilled the cracks and sanded the walls pebble smooth. We painted the bedroom blue. And then I started to feel very queasy and nervous about living with a partner, about not having my own bedroom, about sharing an entire space with someone else, because that space included the walls. I know that my boyfriend has got an enormous print of Hokusai's The Great Wave. It is huge, it is 1 metre long, it is flat and slightly shiny, it is printed on wood. The wood is thin, maybe a veneer. The print quality is quite good. It isn't blurry or pixelated or fuzzed up. The edges are beveled and edged in black like a built-in frame. I hate it. I haven't ever properly looked at the Great Wave, but if I close my eyes, I could recall the shape of that wave. It's been run ragged from all the places it has been. Copies, reproductions, postcards, conference rooms, offices, waiting rooms, MacBook default screensavers, emojis. It is literally everywhere. I am surrounded by the wave. I am the fisherman cowering in my boat and yearning for land. I am sick of seeing it because it offers me nothing. It is corporate core, slop adjacent, banal stock imagery, white noise. There is there to fill space and decorate the peripheral vision. It is mass. And this print is jarg, printed bigger and shinier than the actual original. It has no charm. It is an affront to everything I have dedicated my life to. I care about the weird, wonderful things people make when left to their own devices. I care about visual culture and the images that have existed through history. This print of the Great Wave is not art made by a person. It is a product that has been manufactured by a machine to a technically high standard. Back in 1831, Japan was enjoying a period of stability. The shogun ruled from Edo, now Tokyo, the largest city. Trade and culture had flourished. Provincial lords had encouraged local crafts as a way to bring money into their region. And in Edo, a pleasure district had opened for commoners with disposable income. This new merchant middle class had money and time to spend on hedonism, pursuit of pleasure and recreation. This world of pleasure had become known as ukiyo, the floating world, and a popular culture formed around it. Theatre, music, literature, poetry, and a distinct genre of visual art, ukiyo-e, pictures of the floating world. Woodblock prints of geisha and courtesans, actors, great beauties, and later, landscapes, scenes of everyday life. By 1931, this art form was a proper operation. Artists would design the print and hand it over to a wood carver to cut the wood blocks, then to a printer to ink and press the blocks onto handmade paper, then to a publisher to promote and distribute the prints. Full colour was standard by then, with multiple blocks being used for one print. Since they were always printed by hand, artists could be ambitious, use blended colour or gradients. Each image could be endlessly reproduced until demand died down or the woodblocks wore out. So they were relatively affordable. And in depicting this familiar world of pleasure, recreation, and lovely things, ukiyo-e prints became popular home decor for Edo's pleasure-seeking merchant middle class. Back to 1831. By this time, ukiyo-e artists are less interested in endlessly depicting hedonistic luxury. Now they're producing pictures of nature. Birds, flowers, landscapes are their own popular genre, and Katsushika Hokusai is already a celebrated artist. He produces a series called 36 Views of Mount Fuji, which includes the Great Wave off Kanagawa. Out of all the works in that series, the Great Wave becomes one of the most famous works of Japanese art. I'm not sure why. In my unsolicited opinion, other works in the series are much more visually compelling, but I can speculate. In this series, Hokusai uses a pigment called Prussian blue rather than Japanese indigo. Prussian blue is very resistant to fading, unlike indigo, because it's synthetic. So this print is like really blue. He was also using linear perspective, golden ratio, compositional techniques that Western viewers favoured because it spoke in a visual language already familiar to them. He's engaging with themes and subjects also familiar to Western audiences in the 19th century. Romantic ideas of the sublime, the power of nature, and the smallness of man, the lives and environments of ordinary people, like fishermen. There are bold, flat fields of colour. The image is so simple, it is almost abstract. Through the 17th and 18th centuries, Japan was not open to foreign trade or influence. There was some trade with the Dutch and Chinese, but only in Nagasaki. In 1853, the American Navy sent a fleet of warships and forced Japan's ports to trade at gunpoint, ending their isolation. Amongst other things, ukiyo-e prints flooded into Europe and America, becoming popular, inspiring painters like Van Gogh, Whistler, Gauguin, Monet, etc. The cultural popularity of Japanese art became known as Japonism, with an E at the end, the 19th and 20th century equivalent of weeabooism. It was kitsch, in a classic Greenbergian sense, mass-produced, vernacular or vulgar, sentimental, earnest, eccentric or naive. It was pop cultural, commercial, made to be sold, made to be popular, enjoyed or loved. Both this wider category of ukiyo-e prints and the Great Wave as a singular image. Ukiyo-e prints were handmade and mass-produced images made to decorate middle-class homes. The Great Wave has been copied and reproduced in so many ways, it has ceased to function primarily as an art image. It is now a symbol, literally. We are more familiar with it as a reference point for other things. And here is the truth. I'm a snob. Worse, my snobbery is self-reflexive. I'm a snob about how my snobbery expresses itself. I don't hate that the Great Wave is a mass-produced edition. I don't hate that it was made to be sold or made to be sold to middle-class, non-noble commoners. I don't hate that it was made to be decoration in homes. I don't hate that it is clearly well-loved, pleasant enough to look at, that 200 years on people still want to put it on their walls. I don't hate that it is kitsch. I don't hate that it is popular, identifiable to people who don't know or care that much about paintings. I don't even hate that it was made, arguably, with the West in mind. That kind of snobbery would be deeply unsophisticated. I hate the Great Wave because it has been replicated too many times. In being reproduced, it has been altered, and the original now seems uncanny. It seems to have shrunk. It is instantly recognisable, so much so that I have never even bothered to look at it. Why would I, when I already know what it looks like? What do people put on their walls when given the freedom to put things on walls? What goes into choosing what you put on your walls? Is it about what you find in shops? Is it about what you like? or love forcefully enough to want to look at it every day? Is it about signalling taste or class or cultural expertise? Can you signal taste, class, cultural expertise to yourself as well as to others? And what kind of psychic relationships are we building between ourselves and these images we look at every day? Don't you think it's very weird that in these inner circles of the art world, the paintings that are recognisable to people in the wider world have no potency? It's like in being recognisable, popular or well known, an image becomes obvious and therefore emptier to us. The Mona Lisa, Matisse's Blue Nudes, Monet's Water Lilies, Van Gogh's Starry Night. If everyone knows about it, we, in the art world, don't bother thinking about it. This is snobbery. It's obvious, uncomplicated, explicit snobbery. It's a snobbery of everyone wearing Adidas Sambas, of a trend cycle hitting the mainstream and dying because no one chooses to be basic. But why do popular things feel banal? Why does obscurity confer value? Why do I want to be special and not like the other girls? If I agree that snobbery about popular things is elitist, why do I still hate my boyfriend's metre-long wooden print of the Great Wave? I have never properly looked at the Great Wave, but right now as I am writing, I'm sat in front of my boyfriend's metre-long, slightly shiny wooden version of it. I am looking at it. I'm ignoring that I hate it. My opinion is irrelevant to this prolonged act of looking and attempting to actually see the image. A wave coils, ready to spring, rearing in from the left. It is frozen in mid-air, mid-leap. The crest of the wave is foamy white, curling like fingers or claws or teeth. There are so many of them. It feels ornate. There are watery pale blue shadows around these claws, so they feel high def. The wave could be a mountain. It is marbled with these dynamic white streaks. They make it pulse, alive, like there is movement or power. Yes, power. It is like the wave is alive and takes pleasure in exercising its enormous power. 3 ships skid around under the crest at the wave's mercy. They disappear half tucked under the wave and its swell. The fishermen on the boats are cowering in neat rows. You can see their bent backs, the curve of their downturned heads, the oars clasped to their chests. There is something sweet and sad about their smallness. The water sprays them in the shower. The claws are ready to tear into them. The snowy tip of Mount Fuji looms silent on the horizon. It is a stoic little pinch. I think the fishermen yearn for the land, but the mountain has more in common with the wave. The sky is blushing beige, low white clouds flecked with spray over a darkening horizon. This image is violent. The water is all sharp angles, pointing and impending, waiting to crash down and swallow the boats whole. This image is cartoonishly violent. The boats and the men look so flimsy, so weak. The wave is outlined, crisp, clear, definite. It casts no shadow on the real world, but the claws seem to flex the longer I look. It feels like everything is teetering on an edge, like the action is about to kick into gear. This image is a kind of cartoon. The blue of the wave looks syrupy, dark and solid. The outlines and colours are so flat and simple, so matter of fact. The lines on the claws are harsh and sharp. Everything in the image looks like it has been this way forever. It is violent but neat. A discreet little pocket dimension, a window we are peering into. My boyfriend walks into the bedroom where I am staring at his metre-long, slightly shiny wooden print of Hokusai's The Great Wave off Kanagawa. He is smiling at me. He is pleased. That is the end of the text. Thank you for listening. I'm aware that this text isn't really about anything. It's just really thinking about the way that, I don't know, the way that I hate this image still, kind of. No, I've come to appreciate it anew by actually looking at it. that's all for this week. That's it. Yeah, no, I will give you the emoji. I'm like so out of it. I don't know what's going on. It's like I completely forgotten how to do my job. I will give you the emoji, please. And please can I have, obviously, the wave emoji. I think it's so funny that I knew the emoji. I didn't know the I didn't think of the wave emoji as the great wave, right? It's like only in thinking about like the two together and actually looking at the painting or the print, right, that it has become obvious that of course that's where the emoji comes from. Silly. But yeah, please can I have that one? Thank you very much. And I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Okay, bye.